Hi, this is lesson number 11, and in this lesson we shall talk about Longinus. Cassius Longinus. He was born in 3rd century, 213 AD, and died in 273 AD. And about him, James Scott said that Longinus is the first romantic critic. And now we think that romantic critics or writers we find in the 18th century, the likes of William Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, John Keats. And now James Scott has said that he is the first romantic critic, and there is a huge difference of 1500 years between their period. For this, James Scott said that Longinus is called as the romantic critic, that both have the same qualities in their work. Both favor the same philosophy. As for the romantics, it is said that they emphasize on passions and emotions and individuals' feelings, imaginations. The same can be seen in the writings of Longinus. And further, it is said that Longinus is inspired by Plato. So, unlike Horace, Horace was inspired by Aristotle, and Longinus was inspired by Plato. Among his works, the most famous work of his, that is On the Sublime. Now, what is the meaning of this word sublime? You may have heard this term sublime touch, means extremely good something if it is. So in the dictionary we can check its meaning. It is something like being excellent. So how can a work be excellent? How to achieve that excellency in the work? These are the all things he is talking about. So means he is presenting his critical views as a person. If he wants to be excellent in the work of writing, how can he be? So in this he talks about what is the good work first. He is talking about the characteristics of good work, what is the content of a good work, how to write that work, means everything about a good work. And further he says that what are the main goals or intentions behind writing that work. That is very important. On achieving, or to, if you want to achieve sublime, this is very important, that what are the goals behind writing that work. And further he says, as we know that he was born in 213 years, means in the 3rd century he was living. So before that we have 1000 years back, in 800 century we have Homer. So the ancient great works of Homer and others were now available in Rome, and Longinus has read all those. And after reading all those great works, Longinus said that there are number of great works and bad works as well, and there can't be any comparison between them. The greatness cannot be compared. If you have two great works like Iliad and Odyssey, you can't compare them. Every individual work has its own flaws and merits, characteristics. You cannot compare them. There is no scale to compare them. If something is good, how good? There is no value to it. So he just simply rejected the idea of comparison, making comparison. And then further he says that with the poetry we have two major objectives for a reader: the pleasure and the persuasion. Any poetry, any good poetry will persuade a reader to do something, and of course it will give him pleasure as well. So by reading any poetry, a reader wants to do something. He gets some new ideas, new things in his mind, that he will do this, he will bring such a change in his life. And After that, okay, one more point I missed, that is that this work is dedicated to uh, a man called as Terentianus. Terentianus. He is a man, ancient man from Rome, of his age, same, means during that period, his contemporary was Longinus. So Terentianus was a grammarian, and he dedicated this work to him. And further, he talks about now the features of a sublime work. If something has to be sublime, excellent work, what are the features of this work? The first thing he says that great thought, means what is the thought behind this, what is the theme, means what is the central idea behind that work. That is very important. Noble diction. Diction we all know, with the works of Aristotle we have come to know. Diction means the writing style, how the language is used, how the phrases, the words, everything, how they apply, means all these things belong to diction. Idioms or whatever is used, that falls in the category of diction. So diction has to be noble, good. And then the third one is dignified word arrangement. There has to be, the word choice has to be good, proper word should be used, giving grandeur and beauty for everything, means if there is anything, for that the proper and the most optimum word should be used. These are just normal things as we see. Good thought has to be there, good writing style has to be there, proper or good word has to be there. And then further he says the strong emotions. Of course, the work has to be based on emotions. As in the beginning, I told you that he emphasized on the passions and emotions and individuals' feelings. So he says that one must not reject his own emotions. One should write on the basis of his emotions. And one more thing he says that as we have a number of things in writing, like in diction we have like use of the figure of speech or some stylish phrases. If required, he says that one can use anything like that which makes the speech or the word or the language very effective, but not forcefully. We are not supposed to force any such idea that may make the reading more difficult for the reader. Such things can be include figure of speech or so, but should be used properly, but there shouldn't be any unnecessary involvement. It shouldn't be there. After discussing the features of sublime work, he says then he talks about the features of a false sublime. And if people are thinking that their work is sublime, then he says that there might be some confusion in their mind. And what are the features of those false sublime work? And first he says that if you are using any pompous or any fashionable or very bombastic language words, then your work cannot be sublime. So one should avoid such words which are very showy. Moderate words or decent words has to be used. Good words has to be used. And then there shouldn't be any immaturity, means childishness. It should seem that the work is written by a mature person. So there has to be some class in the work to reflect. And defective style, it shouldn't be fashionable. There has to be sincerity in the work, means every good thing you can talk about, it has to be there in the sublime. And anything that is not like a good thing should be avoided. And lack of passion, this is main. Passion must not be avoided. There has to be passion in the emotions, passions, feeling has to be there in the work. Any writer must not avoid his own passions and emotions while writing any work. This is very main point. And otherwise I think everything is just as common as we can find, that everything has to be good, and anything that is pompous, showing, and just forcefully indulged, if you are involving any like If you are involving any phrases or figure of speech or idioms forcefully, this is not a good sign of a work. And further, I think on the basis of this work, there are several questions, and on so I shall just try to recite the main point according to those questions. What are the main points we need to remember? There are some points about the features of Sublime. These are all just on the basis of previous year questions that it is the essence of great poetry. It is said in the Sublime. Then rhetoric goal of persuasion has to be there. Means the writer is persuading the readers. And then special use of language has to be there. This is also one characteristic of it. And there has to be great thought involved, noble diction involved, dignified and elevated word arrangements. But two things which are not the part or not true to this work on the Sublime, these 2 points you can note down. First, it is not the matter of reader's response. So in the questions, we do not expect that how directly they say or how indirectly they say, but this is the point, that it is not the matter of reader's response. And second is that is immoderate emotions. About this, we can easily say that immoderate means emotions has to be there. There is a opposite word is used, not moderate, immoderate emotions. So it is not uh, there. So moderate emotions or emotions has to be there in the work that you write. So this is all about On the Sublime, written by Longinus. So very simple is the content, the just normal features, as we can just simply even recite that what are the characteristics of a good work. So similar things are there. So that's it for this lesson, and we shall meet in the next lesson pretty soon. So for the moment, bye bye.